You want to pass? Go on. Ah, who am I kidding? You can't reach that. Welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out. This is the diner. This is where we can just chill. I can talk about how my week's been. You can talk about yours. And for everyone that's new to the channel, that's recently just joined, thanks for coming to hang out. It's really great to see you. I want to just make our relationship clear here, is I have no interest in fame or celebrity or popularity. I will always speak what I believe is factually accurate here on this channel. I just want to use this channel as a place to hang out and have fun with people and share my projects that I'm working on. So recently there have been people that have just been getting really angry at me in the comments because I say, for example, like I say positive things about Nintendo, and that really upsets people. And then they get angry at me. You know, I don't really fully understand the internet because I don't use social media, so I'm a little bit out of sync with everyone else. But it just seems as if the internet has trained people to automatically respond to everything with some sort of emotional outburst, this powerful, you know, tantrum. And I don't fully understand it. I don't really vibe with that attitude. You're going to be much happier in life, and you will be able to learn more and make better decisions with your life if you just keep your cool and you just look at your surroundings. Pay attention to what's happening, and if you throw a tantrum, you're not going to be able to hear other people. You're not going to be able to learn anything. So I don't fully understand why people get so angry when I say positive things about Nintendo. I'm only sharing my experience working with actual people from Nintendo. I've never dealt with the legal side, but everyone that I've worked with in Nintendo has just been very professional, and I can see that they really do care about gamers. And if that upsets you, that's okay. You are totally entitled to your feelings, your opinions. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not entitled to your feelings and your opinions. If me saying that, if me sharing the truth, I'm sharing the truth. I'm sharing facts, I'm sharing my personal experience. If you don't like that, that's totally fine. There's no reason to get angry. We can disagree with each other, and it's not a big deal. We're all different people. We have lived different lives. You have your experiences, you have your reasons for feeling your way, and I have my reasons for feeling my way. It's not that big of a deal. The people that I've worked with Nintendo are on the creative side of things, and those people are just like you and me. They're gamers. They care about making good games for people. And that's it. And if you disagree, then you can let me know in the comments, and I'll hear you out. It's important that you share how you feel so that people in the industry can see how you feel. But if you throw a tantrum, adults will not take you seriously. Throwing tantrums is for children. I'm trying to give you a space where you can share how you feel about certain topics. And so I will present topics in a way to hopefully elicit a response. Sometimes I'll say things that I know people will disagree with, because then they will leave comments. And if you leave your comments, people in the industry will be able to see you and your voice will be heard. So I hope you understand the reasoning here, and that I'm not here for popularity or celebrity. If I cared about being popular, then I would just copy what everyone else says, and I would keep quiet about what the truth is. The truth is often uncomfortable for people. It's often unpleasant, and people often spend a large portion of their lives running away from the truth and blocking it out because it's difficult to deal with, and it's often very unpleasant and upsetting. But that's just life. You get used to it. You toughen up and you deal with it. So I wanted to talk about Independence Day resurgence. I hadn't actually seen it before I watched it a couple days ago in 3D on my 3D TV. It's an old TV these days, and I really don't want to replace it. Every TV is going to die, right? No technology lasts forever. So I know that my TV will burn out one day, and I don't think I'll be able to replace it with another 3D TV, which really is a bummer because I really enjoy 3D movies. So I watched Independence Day Resurgence the other day, and it was so confusing. I haven't seen it before, and I was... What? Have you seen it? Please let me know if you've seen it. It is the busiest movie I have ever seen. It is the movie where there are the most characters and the most things are happening, and I felt the least amount of care. I can enjoy a bad movie, right? I am all in it. I don't care if a movie is, you know, a 10 out of 10 or like a 3 out of 10. If it's so bad that it's good, I can enjoy it, right? I can have fun in that way. If a movie is just boring, I'll just turn it off. And Independence Day Resurgence was fascinating. Again, I hadn't seen it before. It was my first time. I know I'm behind, right? Because I've been working on my games. And it was so frustrating because every like 15 minutes, I would find myself saying, they're introducing another character. And they just kept adding more and more characters to it. And then an hour into it, they reintroduced, you know, this lady. I don't even know what her name was. She hadn't done anything for an hour, and they brought her back in and they gave her a couple lines, and I thought, I forgot this was a character in the movie. And I thought, no. There's too many characters here. If you can pick out the characters where if they removed them, the movie would not change, or the movie would actually be better, then from a writing perspective, that character should not be there. And there were so many characters where I kept saying, what is this character here for? What does this character do? And the problem with this situation, with having so many characters, is that if you have too many characters, then the characters who are supposed to be important don't get to do enough. And that was the problem with Independence Day Resurgence, was every time the movie got back to showing the actual important characters, I found myself thinking, and even saying out loud, oh, thank God, finally, the real characters. But it always felt like the real characters never got to do enough. And it just felt like the movie kept pulling away from the important characters to keep showing us other side characters that really did not contribute anything. And it was so weird. And the pacing towards the middle just fell apart, right? You have a plot. A story has a plot, especially a movie. You follow the plot, point A to point B. But this one was like, point A, skip B and C. Let's get from point A to point D. Let's get to point G, point M. All right, we're at point Z now. And they just kept breezing through it. Moments that they needed to let the moment breathe. You know, they would go, oh, we've got to do this to stop the aliens. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, next thing. And I thought like, whoa, this is, I don't know if it was destroyed in the edit. I don't know if they filmed way too much. I don't know. It was the weirdest, and I felt unpleasant at the end of the movie. I felt really unpleasant, like gross, I guess is the word. I felt gross. I don't know. Normally after I watch a movie, I kind of feel entertained. I think like, all right, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed the story and the characters. And I don't know what it is about Independence Day Resurgence, but I felt gross. Like, I suppose, I don't know, like pandered to, I suppose, sort of, oh, I think, no, that's not the term. I think taken advantage of, because I enjoyed the first Independence Day movie from the 90s. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, okay, I think that's it. I felt gross because I felt like I was being taken advantage of. They used an IP that I enjoyed, and they wore it as a skin suit, and then they served me something that was very unpleasant. It was just really, really unpleasant. And there have been a couple other movies that I've watched recently that I want to talk about as well. So I don't just watch old-timey things. I really enjoy going back and rewatching old movies from the 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't know, for some reason there's not that many 90s movies that I go back to. But and I also enjoy going back to those eras and discovering new movies that I have not seen. But I'm not one of those people that sort of, oh, I only like old things. I really enjoy new things as well. I really enjoy media on a deeper level because it gives us an insight to what we care about and what we think about, what we worry about. To me, it's not just about, oh, I want to be entertained, show me something, let me put colors and shapes in front of my eyeballs. For me, it's about understanding us, our culture, our people, us. And that's why I enjoy media so much. And so I've been watching some movies that were made recently within the past year or two. And I'm going to list three. One is Imaginary, which I super enjoyed. I really liked that. I can see why people wouldn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. I read reviews on it afterward, and people just didn't like the ending. I thought it was fun. The next movie is Bagman, which is these are all kind of horror movies. So Bagman is about, Imaginary is about a woman who moves back into her childhood home, and her daughter starts playing with the mother's imaginary friend from childhood. And that was, oh, that's fun. There are some great horror gags in Imaginary. Excellent A-grade horror gags in Imaginary. So if you like horror, Imaginary is great. I can see the ending just falling off for people, and because it takes a step into a somewhat different genre. It steps into like fantasy horror at the end, which I don't mind. It's not a big deal because I enjoyed the overall movie, and the horror gags were so satisfying as a horror fan. Bagman, I'm trying to find something to say about it. It had a couple interesting horror gags. It's about this horror entity that sticks children in a bag. I don't want to be mean. I don't like being mean. I don't like just like piling on things, right? So if you're doing something else, this is a fine movie to have in the background. Like if you're playing a game, or preparing a meal, Bagman is all right. And Sting is bizarre. Sting is so weird. So Sting is about an alien spider egg lands on Earth, and a girl raises the spider, and it starts eating people. And this movie is weird. This is bizarre because it feels like they didn't know what genre they were making. Every scene change, the tone of the movie would flip a 180. Sometimes it feels like it's trying just to be a straight horror movie. Sometimes it feels like it's like a gross out sort of a situation, and then other times it feels like a Nickelodeon kids comedy. And I got tonal whiplash. This is the most tonal whiplash I've ever gotten from any movie watching Sting, and I felt like confused. I don't watch movies to criticize them. I watch them, to just enjoy. And this movie kept, like... Have you ever gone driving with your teenage friends, and then, as a joke, they'll just, like, jerk the car like that, and then you slam your head against the side of the car? When you and your teenage friends go driving, and then you borrow your friend's dad's Mustang, and then you accidentally back in to somebody in a parking lot, but it wasn't your fault because it was raining really heavily, and it wasn't my fault. That is this movie. I can't recommend it. No. I do recommend it if you've got friends to watch it with. because I'm certain you guys might have fun laughing at the tonal whiplash. That is weird. So something I wanted to talk about with these modern movies, something I want to point out, and it is so bizarre. I randomly picked these movies. They all have a connecting thread, and that is there's a protagonist adult character who works as an artist who is totally disenchanted with their work. And the connecting themes that they have in common is that being an artist for a living is miserable, you're underappreciated, it's difficult, you're under too much pressure, and you don't make enough money. It's miserable and you hate it. And this is so sad because I think back to movies from the 80s and 90s, and all of those movies depicted artistic jobs as something to aspire for. This is the dream job. This is perfect. And this is so great. And something that adults told me when I was young in the 90s, they would always say, oh, if you pick a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that was passed around a lot. Now, I want to be very clear. The adults that were running the world in the 90s were hippies. They either were recovering hippies, or they were openly hippies, or they're hippies, closeted hippies. But they were the ones who were hippies in the 60s. They grew up, they took charge of the world in the 90s, and I think maybe they rose-tinted the world a little bit too much. And they said things like that, and they set a false expectation for people. So now the kids of the 90s are now working age. It's 30 years later, much like the gap between the 30s and the 90s. But you have all of these people that were told being an artist is going to be so great, it's the best thing in the world, only to reach the 20s where we are now. And we have corporate overreach that makes workplaces miserable. And the balance between art and the corporate side of things is out of whack. So now artists are really, it looks like artists are being pushed too hard, and they're being underappreciated, and they're under way too much stress, and it is not enjoyable. It's not a good working situation. And that is what I'm seeing in media. I'm seeing more, and these aren't the only 3 movies that depict that, but I try to understand these movies on a deeper level, and they depict something very sad, that artists don't want to be artists for a living anymore because it's not worth it and it's miserable. And it's so sad. And there's something that I want to point out. With all of these movies as well, is there's all these have a family, but the dad went missing. Either the dad is gone, the dad left, there's a new dad that's come into the situation, and there's friction because the kids don't want a new dad. Oh, this new dad sucks. They want my old dad. And I think there's like 3 or 4 other movies I've watched within the past week that have the same situation. And that all these movies were made within the past year or 2. So whatever that is saying about our culture, our situation, I think it's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about with movies. So just to check in with my games, I think for the next month or so, my videos are going to have to be a bit simpler. I like to make stuff just to give people a laugh, to bring you some fun, but I need to focus on game development a bit more tightly now. It's quite difficult to shift gears. I'm still improving. I'm still trying to get better at it, but it is difficult to shift gears between writing and recording and editing and posting a video. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and truth be told, I'm not that good at it. Professional YouTubers are very good at it. They have the natural talent, they have the skill. I'm not that good at the video thing, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm capable of doing, and that's having fun with videos. I am not an expert at it, and it is difficult for me to do the videos and then switch gears and go to game development. It means that it's slow to start working on games for a little bit, and then it takes a couple hours to ease back into working at full pace. So my videos are going to have to be simpler for the next month or 2 so I can get some games out. Very soon, within the next day or so, I'm going to put up a homebrew, sort of like a prototype build for the Vita. So if you've got a homebrewed Vita, you can hop right in and you can play the sort of stuff that I'm working on. I'm working on a bunch of upcoming games, and I work in such a way where I have multiple projects planned, and I know exactly what each game needs, and then I can create a framework with components that I know, oh, I can use this component in this game. That will save me 20% of my development time. This will save me 15% here, 10% here. So that's why I have multiple games planned simultaneously, because it allows me to produce the next game even quickly. So I create game components with programming that I know, okay, I can plug that into another game, reuse my work, you know. So yeah, it just comes down to planning. I have other bigger videos that I've filmed, and then I have to edit them and put them all together. So thanks very much for hanging out with me here at the diner. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you understand the vibe of the channel here. I think some people get really mad because they think I'm like a hate content channel, and then they get really mad when I don't make hate content, and I don't know. I've been seeing that in the comments where people are getting really mad. I'm here for a chill vibe. I just want to have fun with people and hang out. So, okay. Take care, everyone. Be well. I've got a bunch of fun videos that will be coming up pretty soon. All right. I appreciate you. See ya.